Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All2ReelToo. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is...
That's Matthew... Man, I'm bad with the names today. Alright, just Matthew Haas.
Matthew Haas. That's a good name.
It's alright.
Yeah. I mean, you've had it most of your life.
No, all of my life. It means hare, like a rabbit in German. Like, H-H-A-R-E.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what it means.
That is nice. And and hoppy. And so today on the show we have a all-two interview with actor, director, teacher, musician, Renny Temple. He's a guy you might know from one of the most famous episodes of All in the Family. He was in the Draft Dodger episode, which was a Christmas episode one year. He played the Draft Dodger, and he's also directed many television shows such as Growing Pains and Head of the Class and a bunch of other things back in the 80s and 70s, and worked with people such as Kirk Cameron and Leonardo DiCaprio on those shows and Billy Connolly on the other show and stuff. We talk a little bit about some of that. We also there's some info about his early days where he was part of a improv group, and also when he was like in a huge folk band called the Highwaymen. So it's very fun. We talk about improv a lot and everything too. So he's a really cool guy. We talk a little bit about politics, a lot of cool things. Hopefully you'll enjoy this interview. I really liked talking to him. I could talk to him again anytime. But anyways, here's my interview with Renny Temple. First, I just wanted to thank you for your time today.
I got so much time, man. We could do a 4-hour show for all I care.
So, speaking of time, how are you dealing with like everything that's going on in the world?
Well, if you want to talk politics, whew, and let's keep, get rid of that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And keep him going for a long time. I'm just hoping I got to start some sort of campaign to have the media just block him out. No more rallies, no more airing speeches, no more comments. Just go on. Just move him away.
That's all he wants is attention.
And other than that, the COVID stuff, they're excited about the vaccine, and I'm ready to get going.
Yeah. Because
I've been teaching improv here in Bend, and was also forming an improv company, and we had to stop.
Oh wow!
Before we actually got anything going. No, I did teach, but then I had to stop.
Yeah.
And they kept saying, well, can you do it on Zoom? And I said, you just can't do improv on Zoom. I mean, you actually have to be with somebody and look them in the eye and talk to them. I'm good. How's everything out there in beautiful Cleveland?
It's Toledo, but yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, congratulations, by the way, on all your little. I've been voting like crazy on your podcast awards and stuff.
Oh, thank you. And I appreciate that. Yeah.
I think that's a good thing.
Hopefully we win. If we don't, oh well.
Well,
it is
you're
what it is.
Hold on, just a minute. Okay. I bet you can't do that.
No, I have no hair, so. So yeah, no. I choose to shave my head. So yeah, it's easier to deal with. So so why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you got started in like entertainment and everything.
We're actually rolling.
Yep, we're good. We're rolling. I'm rolling the whole time just to be safe.
Everything I've said. Oh no.
No, I mean I can cut it whenever, so I'm good. So,
I see. Let's see. How did I get started in show business? I always wanted to be an actor. When I was a little kid, I grew up, in the Jackie Gleason, Sid Caesar stuff on television when I was a little boy, and I said, I want to do that. And then one day, my father took me into a haberdashery store. For those who don't remember, they make hats. And I went in there, he was buying a hat, and it was the first time I saw one of those three-way mirrors where you could look ahead and look to the side and see yourself in a three-way mirror. And when I looked straight ahead, I looked fine. I looked like a nice-looking guy because I was used to the way I looked looking in the mirror. When I looked over to the side and saw the side of my face from both sides, I went, oh, God, what an ugly guy. This guy is never going to be an actor, because my whole knowledge about acting was, 77 Sunset Strip, Rawhide, Gunsmoke. I mean, these were, and there were always sort of good looking guys who were the leads. I never paid attention to the character actors who always worked when the stars weren't working. So I just said, well, I can't be an actor. About that time, the Kingston Trio came out, about 10 years later. And I went and saw them at the Maryland Field House. I lived in Washington, D.C. My father was an admiral in the Navy, and we traveled around a bit. No, he was an admiral in the Army. Oh. He was a very confused man. We were in Washington, D.C., where he worked in the Pentagon at that time, and went and saw the Kingston Trio. And it was, most people don't know the Kingston Trio was really the origination of college concerts, what became known as college concerts. Before that, it was just string quartets doing Mozart and stuff. But here you walked into a field house with 30,000 screaming people, and way down there on the bottom, this little square were these three guys and a bass player singing all these songs, and people were yelling and singing along. And I said, I want to do that. I can do that. I can learn a bunch of chords and do that. And then I'll sing my way into being an actor, like Pat Boone, Bobby Darin, all of your favorite actors, because that's how much I knew about acting. So I did, got into folk music. After 2 years of college, some friend said, hey, we can go sing in a bar in St. Petersburg behind the shotguns. And I said, okay, another wise life choice. And we did that. And long story short, we became the Highwaymen, where we started doing Ed Sullivan shows and having records, and Michael Row the Boat Ashore and all of that stuff. And I sort of got lost about being an actor. We were just doing college shows and TV shows and records and concerts, and but performing in front of 2,000 or 30,000 people, depending on the show. And then the Beatles kind of came along, and folk music kind of went away, and I didn't know what to do. I did like 6 months of stand-up comedy, and God, that was just awful. I mean, it's just pulling teeth to try to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And then a friend said, why don't you, hey, there's this manager, friend of mine, who is going to be teaching improv in their apartment up here on 110th Street in New York City. And I said, what's improv? I had no idea. It was brand new at the time.
Yeah.
And we took the old Viola Spolin book, and she sat down and we did exercises. And when I walked in, I recognized a couple of the people. There was about maybe 9 or 10 people in this workshop, living room. And I recognized them from commercials. And they said, you really ought to be doing commercials. This face should be doing commercials. And I said, I have no idea how that happens. And they gave me the news, and I got headshots printed up and went around and did the agents thing because they gave me numbers and stuff. And it took me about 9 months to do my first commercial and about 3 months to do my second commercial. And then I didn't stop working for like a dozen years, even more, doing commercials. I just made a fortune. I actually became a type. When you walk into an audition and they have the little drawings and the storyboards with little pictures of what the actors are supposed to be doing in the commercial, in the corner it would say Renny Temple type. I never got those, but but that's what they said.
I've heard that a lot from people who become types, that they'll audition for the gigs and it'll say it's so and so type, and then they don't get it. Even though they are so and so.
It's weird, they had the the little glasses on my face and everything, in the cartoon, and then it became a thing of I started realizing that there are character actors these days, the Stanley Tucci's, and those kind of people who work all the time and are really good and respected and all of that stuff. So I started figuring out that acting is this, and I started doing plays. The group that was in the living room became, after about 6-7 weeks, the manager said, well, that's all I know. We're just reading exercises out of the Viola Spolin book about improv in the theater, where improv actually came from Viola Spolin. And we said, well, let's just keep going in our own living rooms. And we just started rotating. We found somebody said, hey, literally, I know a friend who has a folk club down here on 74th and Amsterdam in New York called The Focus. And we said, well, let's put this on stage. We didn't really know much about the Second City. They were like 3 or 4 years ahead of us in Chicago. But we started doing games and seeing what worked on stage and what didn't. And pretty soon we had, the Robin Williamses and the Dustin Hoffmans and all these young guys coming in and going, hey, wow, that's pretty good. And we became War Babies. We decided to give ourselves a name. And War Babies seemed to fit a general age group that would work. And also it was the Vietnam War and stuff. So we were a little political, but mostly funny. And Dick Clark and his group came out and scouted us and brought us out to California as a group to do a 4-week Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello summer show. And we were the resident zanies, like laughing. And we went out to California. And at that time, I met my wife, Karen Kay, who's an actress, who was in the group. And we were living together, doing all the good things that people who live together do. And she took off kind of like a rocket in LA. And we sort of looked around and sort of went, wow, we could live here. We're out recording bits out by Malibu and by the ocean, and looking at the mountains on one side and the ocean on one side and saying, damn, people live here. This is nice. And so we stayed. The whole group stayed. We found a theater to work in. We did all the comedy clubs out there, but then found a theater, and War Babies cut itself a very significant niche. And in that time, now I'm acting. Now I'm doing commercials. We're doing television shows. We're doing guest star spots. And that just kind of kept going and matriculated into directing television. I did sitcoms for a while, and then I didn't, which unfortunately happens. And, and we just stuck it out, spent 45 years in LA, and then said, well, it's time to get out of Dodge. And we came up here to Bend, Oregon. And that, in 15 glorious minutes, was the story of my life.
That was nice.
Anytime you want to jump in here, Mike.
No, I'm fine. I was just enjoying listening. So what was it like working with Annette and Frankie?
Well, it was strange. I mean, we grew. We saw the beach blanket movies, and Annette Funicello from my age group was like the first babe that we saw, as a Mouseketeer.
That was my my dad's first crush. He always talked about her when I was a kid. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean she had breasts and wore a sweater and this little hat with mouse ears.
Yeah.
What's not to love?
Yeah. He always used to say she had a nice set of mouse ears, but he wasn't talking about it.
And indeed she did. And it was great. They were fine. It was just, it was a summer show and people were coming. It was all edited together. So we were all just doing bits. There was no live audience. And, all of a sudden you're sitting in the bleachers next to this old woman and you're kind of watching somebody rehearsing a bit and then filming the bit. And I realize I'm sitting next to Phyllis Diller, who doesn't look anything like Phyllis Diller, the one you see on television.
Yeah.
She's a little lady. And, Bob Hope comes in and he does like 10 minutes and he literally walks into the set and everybody goes, Mr. Hope is here. Everything stops. They put him in front of a set, a backdrop, and he looks at the teleprompter and they say, you want to rehearse? He says, no, just roll it. And he knocks off about 15 jokes, about Frankie Avalon and being a kid and all that stuff. And he says, okay, I think that's it, right? And they went, thank you, Mr. Hope. He disappears. And, you saw Bob Hope for 10 minutes doing what Bob Hope does, is just stand there and do it. So it was a fun show to do.
Yeah.
It really introduced us to Hollywood and television.
So, I hadn't realized you were in The Highwayman. That's pretty cool too. When you were just mentioning that, I don't know why I didn't realize that, but yeah, that.
It's because you didn't do any research.
I did do some, but it didn't come up in the in the bio that I read.
I get my guitar in the corner and sing Michael Rowe the Boat Show for you.
No, I did do research. I just didn't find that in there for some reason. But
that's in
cool.
The days before time, so
yeah,
I can understand.
Yeah, but no, that's
remember
pretty
much
cool.
of it either.
Yeah, no, because I got into folk music a weird way, like where it was through the A Mighty Wind movie. Like I kind of.
God, that was one of the funniest. That The Mighty Wind is exactly who we were.
Yeah,
we were those guys.
Because that's probably in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. So I watched that and then I kind of went back and found the real bands that. All
of those Guffman, I call them Guffman movies, but Christopher Guest.
Yeah.
I mean, when they came out, I literally in the first Guffman movie had to make myself stop laughing because Christopher Guest and those guys, it was literally killing me. It was hurting me physically to laugh so much. Those guys, and when they did A Mighty Wind, I went, boy, did they catch this.
Yeah.
This is exactly right.
I was going to ask you how close they got it. Yeah. So.
Well, after The Highwaymen, I did a couple of years with the Serendipity Singers. And of course, they were one of the 9-man groups that they did in A Mighty Wind.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely perfect. You didn't miss a beat.
That's cool. So, with acting, I know that the way I discovered you was through All in the Family. In the guest piece that you did that was probably the first time I remember seeing you on TV.
And all you boys and girls at home, it's coming up to be Christmas, and that's when the episode always reruns.
I know.
So make sure you check your TV guides.
How was it working with Rob Reiner and Carol O'Connor and everybody?
It was really, at the time, it was absolutely terrifying. It was my first TV show. It was my first, we did the Frankie Avalon thing and I was just, being stupid and crazy. But now I'm actually playing a draft dodger who comes home and has Christmas dinner with the Bunkers. And because I'm an old friend of Mike Stivic, Rob Reiner. And it was just a strange week. You have to understand, in the first place, the week is actually 5 days. And also, this is their 9-to-5 job. I'm walking into their set and going, look at all this. And this is just, this is what they do. This is their 9-to-5 job. And for me, the first thing I did was I looked at the wall, and the wall, that kind of off yellow look, is actually a million little dots, like a Monet painting.
Oh, wow.
it's a million little different colored dots when you're standing, right up close to it. And that was interesting. And then, of course, I sat in the bunker chair, which was a great treat. The first, in a 5-day show like that, you do table readings first, and then you block stuff, and then you block for the cameras, and then you actually shoot the show over the course of 5 weeks. So the first thing you're doing is at a table reading where everybody sits around a long table. And we're in a rehearsal space where the floor design is taped out on the show and taped out on the floor. And I sit down. I bring a tape recorder with me because I'm not, this is like the show's into its 8th, 7th season or something, everybody knows who All of the Family is. And they're doing a Christmas show about a draft dodger, who has dinner with them during the Vietnam War. And I sat down across from O'Connor, and I wanted to record the lines of the dress rehearsal. So I'd have, all of us kind of reading and talking together for myself. I would have this on tape, and I put it down in front of me, kind of over to the side, and I turned it on. And Carol O'Connor sits right across from the table from me, and he says, "What's that?" And I never dawned on me I had to have like a reason. So I said, well, it helps me learn my lines, which doesn't make any sense in any language. And he reaches across and puts his finger on the off button and says, well, we don't need that. Click.
Wow.
And I went, oh, boy. Hey. I pick up the tape recorder, put it down on the floor. Now, that was one episode. One of them was sitting in the kitchen set during camera blocking day on Thursday, and they're doing some scene in the living room that I'm not in, and I'm sitting in the kitchen set, and they're rehearsing the cameras and setups and stuff. And I'm going through my script, and Carol O'Connor kind of walks by and says, what are you doing? I said, I'm just going over my lines. He takes my notebook, and remember, this is one day before shooting. He closes the book and says, if you don't know it now, you don't know it. I went, oh, God, kill me. Oh, what am I doing here? Now, Carol O'Connor, I'm sure, is a great guy. I'm only seeing him for 5 days.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if he was doing it just to bug me, whether he was cranky, whether he was having an off week, or whether that's just the way he has fun with guest stars who come on the show who have never done a TV show before. I don't know. But when we were doing the show, the incredible feeling of working with O'Connor and that whole group was when he looked across the table at you as Archie Bunker, as we're shooting the show. And he looks at you across the table and he realizes that I'm a draft dodger from the United States Army in the middle of Vietnam. That's when he has the discovery. And he says, you mean to tell me that you're a draft dodger from the US of A? I wanted to die. The look of hate that he could generate eye to eye with you, it was absolutely staggering.
Wow.
I mean, it was just the acting ability, that power you felt of somebody who really hated your guts because you were a traitor to the United States, as far as Archie Bunker was concerned, was just staggering. There were so many moments like that. Actually, an interesting thing you had, I saw on your Facebook page, we were discussing it. When we were rehearsing, I saw Rob Reiner and Carol, over in the corner all the time, kind of going over their scripts, and they were scratching stuff out and they were putting stuff in, and and then they come back to the table and we'd rehearse and do that. They did that a number of times when we were in the rehearsal process. I went over to Rob, who's supposed to be my best friend. We're best friends, and I said, "What are you and Carol doing over there?" And he says, oh, well, you got to understand, we're shooting in front of a live audience here. And most of the live audience comes from Orange County, which is in California, a really conservative area. And they think Archie Bunker is right, that he's correct. And what Carol and I do is we sort of make sure that the laughs come at the expense of Archie Bunker. rather than them laughing because he's right. And so it was a very careful dance they were doing with the Archie Bunker character to make sure that we knew that as genuine as this character was, as flawed as this character was, what basically a nice guy kind of he was, this family guy, this hardworking blue-collar guy, that when it came to politics and bigotry and racism and all of that stuff, that he wasn't right. So they wanted to make sure the crowd didn't laugh and applaud at the wrong places.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. They went, wow, yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's good that they did that. I mean, because even with that, he did sadly now, especially with people that are looking back on it with like rose-colored glasses on him or something, they think he was the hero of the show, and they don't understand the fact that he wasn't. I mean, sure, he did have his good points. I mean, mind you, Hitler was even charismatic. It doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying, that he was the good guy, We
love Adolf. We love us all, Adolf.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. People just don't get
there's a scene there's like 3 seconds at the end of the towards the end of the show, and I hope your folks, your audience sees it, because it really is a terrific show. Won an Emmy and everything.
Yeah, I think if people haven't seen it, they might want to just pause this now and go watch it and then come back and listen to it.
Yeah, actually, you can go on YouTube. Just type in All in the Family Draft Dodger, and you can watch the whole show. And you'll love my hair. My hair is just, you think this hair looks great. Boy, that hair was great in the 70s. It was like I had to take 2 trips to walk into the house. When he finds out I'm a draft dodger and everybody says, you got to let him stay, let it go for tonight. It's Christmas. Come on, have dinner. He walks away from the table, and Edith goes after him and says, come on, Archie, please sit down and have dinner. And he says, I can't do it. I can't. I got to work this thing out. And she says, come on, Archie, please do it for me. And he turns to her, and the camera shot turns to him looking at her. And in that 2 or 3 seconds where they look at each other, you can see the whole life relationship of Archie and Edith.
Yeah.
The love, the dedication. God, I tear up. I'm doing it now. Those 3 or 4 seconds where they're in silence looking at each other when he decides, okay, I'm going to do it for Edith. I'm going back to the table and have Christmas dinner. It's staggering. To me, it's a moment of film and video where these 2 terrific actors can show you an entire life in a 3-second glance.
Yeah, Jean Stapleton. She could give a look, and it would say so much more than like words. Oh,
it was obviously an amazing experience.
Yeah,
and being my first TV show.
Yeah, that's a good one for being your first one to at least break your legs on and stuff and everything.
Yeah, and my wife's first show was a Mary Tyler Moore show.
Oh, wow.
So, where she played a sportscaster who comes in and doesn't do any violent sports, doesn't cover football, doesn't cover hockey, doesn't know who Fran Tarkington is, for the Minnesota group. And the both of us had a great experience, her doing Mary Tyler and me doing All in the Family.
Wow. And
we thought, well, we've got it made now.
Yeah.
And then, we went on to do, Love American Style. Some other shows that weren't so terrific.
But at least it was something. I mean, yeah, I see that you directed, I was a big fan of Head of the Class, and I saw you directed an episode of that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why. I really loved that show when I was a kid.
Well, it was a good group comedy. Yeah. Put together, nice kids, and Billy O'Connell. Billy O'Connell was great.
Yeah. I was wondering if you did it with the Billy years or the Howard Hessman years.
What's that?
I was wondering if you did it with the Billy years or the Howard Hessman years. Yeah. Because
No, this was just Billy O'Connell.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was it was a nice show. What's interesting about being a director on a show, if you're not the regular director, like a James Burrows, who, when he shoots, he says, well, of course I'm going to do the whole show. And they go, yes, James, because he does Cheers and he does, he created all of these shows. when you're just the regular you're a hired gun when you come in as a director and you do a whole bunch of shows, because those actors, this again, it's their 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
You're not about to change the way anything happens. You're basically trying to service the show to make the show look and feel like the show always looks and feel. You're not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
It's strange, and you meet, the actors become really sort of interesting because they become those characters. I mean, when I did Growing Pains.
Yeah.
Kirk Cameron was right towards the beginning of his being a born again Christian, and the rest of the cast hated it.
Yeah.
I mean, they just hated it. And one of the reasons why is wrapped up in the story that happened to me. He was supposed to walk in. He's looking for his girlfriend who's got a job to go down to Bermuda for a week and do whatever she did for a job. And he's really nervous about her going off. And he walks into a store where he heard she was going to be, and there's like bathing suits. Okay. So the idea is he looks at this, there's a mannequin with a bathing suit on it, a conservative bathing suit, not a real, a bikini, but not really a thong. And he looks up at the mannequin, and it's made out of straw. You're only seeing like from the neck to the waist. It's not even a human being looking mannequin. It's just a straw female figure. And he looks up at it, and there's the camera shot turns to what he's looking at, which is just this mannequin with a bathing suit on, and looks back to his worried face that his girlfriend is going to be running around in one of these in Bermuda.
Yeah.
He's concerned. And he comes to me after we rehearse it. He says, listen, you can't show the two of us in the same camera shot. I said, what do you mean? He said, I don't want a 2-shot of me and the mannequin in the same shot. And that pause that I just gave,
Yeah.
that you just witnessed the silence,
Yeah.
was, okay, what? So I could show his face, and then I could do a cutaway to the bathing suit, and then back to his face, being concerned, but I couldn't show them together in the same shot.
Wow.
And I said, okay, Kirk.
Yeah.
But don't want to be seen with a half-naked mannequin? Okay. Yeah, I know.
That's insane.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I had one other funny story during the show. During rehearsal, we were doing what's called the tease at the beginning of the show, the first minute or so where actors are doing something, and then something happens and they roll the credits. He's teaching his class. Kirk is teaching a class. I don't know what subject it was. Oh, I just had a bad joke come into my head. I'm totally going to ignore it. And the principal's supposed to come in and hand him a note. And he's supposed to take the note and open it and read it. And then it's a shot of his concerned face about what's in this note. And then they roll credits. So I go, okay, well, we do the scene. He's teaching the class. The principal comes in. Here you go, Kirk, or whatever his character's name was. Here's the note. You got to read this. And he looks at the note. He looks at the principal. He looks at the note. He looks away concerned. He looks back at the note, and then he reaches forward and he takes the note. And he opens it up and he looks concerned. Scene. I say, Kirk, I'm in a booth. I'm actually 100 yards away from him in a booth, looking at all of the cameras, because that's just the way the studio was set up. And I said, Kirk, listen, can you speed it up just a little bit? Look at the note and take it, and then look concerned when you're doing it, because this is taking 3.5 minutes for you to actually take the note out of this guy's hand. And we do it again. Guy comes in. Here's the note. Got to read it. He looks at the note. He looks at the principal. He looks at himself. He looks around. He's very concerned. He takes the note. That happens like 3 times, and each time I'm saying, Kirk, can you speed it up just a little bit? Can you take the note a little faster? Because there's a lot of you just kind of looking around. And, okay, roll it. He does the same thing again. It takes forever to take the note out of the guy's hand and look concerned. And I'm in the booth, and I'm 100 yards away from him. And I yell at the monitors I'm looking at, take the damn note. And on 4 cameras, I see Kirk Cameron's head turn and look towards the camera. And I went, oh God, can he hear me? And in real life, he couldn't, but one of the boom guys had gotten off of his boom and took his headset and put it down on the boom and walked away so he could hear me yelling through the headset. And I went, oh God, I am so dead.
Oh, jeez.
And I went and apologized. I said, I'm sorry, I'm having an off day. And it was gone. But there was something about seeing 4 heads of Kirk Cameron kind of turn like, what?
That's a scary thought.
A scary thought.
Yeah. Was Leo DiCaprio on the show when you did it, or was that?
Yes. Yeah, he was on the show. As a matter of fact, he was on the show. It was a weird thing. The producers came to me and they said, listen, can you make this guy funny? I said, you want me to make Leo DiCaprio funny? You know, he's like 8 years old. I think he's like 10 years old. And I said, listen, guys, he's not this kind of actor.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see, you know, I talked to him. We said, I actually directed him in Lassie before this. He was a sidekick to the kid with the dog. You know, so I'd already worked with Leo. I'm the only director in the world who's actually worked with Leonardo DiCaprio twice in 2 different TV shows. How about that for a credit?
That's nice.
And he never calls. Son
No.
of a gun. He never calls. I said, Leo's not this kind of actor. He doesn't know the sitcom rhythm. He doesn't know the acting style of sitcoms. It's not, you know, because there's an acting style.
Yeah.
You know, it's like doing commercials. You don't do in commercials what you do on stage, what you do on television, what you do in movies. They're all different ways of performing the craft. And sitcoms have a specific rhythm and specific dialogue exchange and stuff like that. And during the time that I was shooting the show, he came in and said, I got the movie. And I said, what do you got? And he said, I'm doing, what was it, Boys Town with Robert De Niro? Boys Life. I forget.
I forget it's a boy's life or something like that, I think.
Like A Boy's Life. Yeah, something like that. And it was going to be his first movie with Robert De Niro as the star. And I went to the producer, I said, this is the kind of actor he is. Yeah. He's going to do fine in movies. And of course I'm right. And of course he never calls. So the hell with him.
And you know, if you see like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he learned how to be funny, but just different funny than sitcom funny, which is good.
Oh yeah,
I know, and that's the thing. He's a movie funny, not a.
Well, actually, he's not really a movie funny.
Yeah,
that was actually a funny movie. Yeah, but the first time he was actually funny in a movie was the the movie with the businessman. Just forgot the movie.
Wolf of Wall Street or
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
When the drugs kick in while he's on the telephone, and he has to crawl out of the hotel and get into the car, and he has this whole sequence of 5 minutes of stump crying, trying to get to the car and crawling on the floor, but totally drugged out.
Yeah.
It was the first time I went, okay, Leo, Comedy 101, babe.
Exactly.
that was really good.
And you got him started on that. No.
Yeah, that's right. I taught him everything he knew, right from growing pains to stardom. And he never calls. Okay. All of that was great. Now I'm up here in Bend.
Yeah.
Retired. Bend is great. There was actually a light snow on the ground this morning.
Oh, wow.
Very lovely. Really great town. Central Oregon, beautiful mountains, outdoors, all these jocks that climb mountains and mountain bike and stuff. And me and Karen, because we don't do any of that stuff. But I loved it. But I'm teaching improv now. And War Babies was really a great experience in our life. War Babies was like 15, 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
Where we were a really recognizable company in LA. We had a theater. We got a theater every Wednesday night. We'd show up. The place was always packed. They always saw a different show. And we presented improv as a theatrical experience. When you go away from LA, and actually a lot of times in LA, but when you go out in LA, I mean, like when I first came up to Bend, I saw 3 improv companies up here that were here, and they were doing Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
Comedy, not improv. Those guys, I know 2 of those guys. They're really funny. They're really great. What they do is great, but what they're doing is going for jokes.
Yeah.
And they really know how to do that.
I just interviewed Greg Proops yesterday from the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
yeah. I mean, they're really great. They're great, but that's not improv. Improv is taking suggestions from the audience and creating scenes with a beginning, middle, and end, and all that stuff. And that's what we did. And what I learned as life went on, and now retired and teaching this class and starting an improv company up here, is that the rules of improv, most people think that improv is just people being funny on stage, and that's not it at all. There's actual rules that we all listen to in our heads that once you learn them, that becomes part of your style. That becomes part of your life. If you and I, Mike, are on stage doing a scene, my job is to take care of you, your job is to take care of me, and together we build a scene.
Yeah.
If one of us starts doing jokes, starts doing shtick, the scene dies. But as long as we take care of ourselves, we can go from A to B to C to D to applause, curtain. What I discovered in my life is that the rules of improv are also the rules of life. I teach a class called Improv for Life, where if you learn the rules of improv and you practice them and you do them, you find out that you can apply this to your life, because your life is improvised. You and I have been talking for an hour, however long this has been, and we don't have any cue cards.
No.
We don't have any script. We don't have anything. And if you can take the rules of improv and apply them to your life skills, it's communication, it's trust, it's building scenes. Building scene is going in and asking the boss for a raise. That becomes a scene in your life. Checking out at the supermarket, that's a scene in your life between you and the cashier. If you do those rules, all of a sudden things happen to your life where you're now building successful scenes that comprise your life story. And I teach the improv, but I also throw in, and this is how it applies to your life. If you do this, and I find it fascinating. And what's great up here is the other improv groups up here were just, as I say, were terrible. They were doing Whose Line Is It Anyway? And they aren't those guys. Those guys know how to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're great at it, but you got to be, those guys for it to work.
Well, you got to learn the theatrics of doing improv, not jokes. Mm-hmm. It's not doing jokes. And up here, when I was down in LA, everybody was in an improv class. They wanted to get a pilot. They wanted to get a manager. They wanted to get on stage. They wanted to learn improv because apparently everybody has to know it. Up here, they're all civilians. I've been teaching Facebook, the CEOs up here. Facebook and Google are big up here. They have databases off in the woods somewhere where everybody communicates. And their moms and dads, their daughters, their school kids, their whatever they are, they're civilians. They're not going to be doing this in show business. But I'll tell you, by the fifth, sixth class, all of a sudden you can see them changing. And they end up, by the time the class is finished over the period of time, they're doing stage-worthy improvisational comedy. And they realize it. You can see them when they finish doing a scene after, rehearsing, after practicing for a while, that something has clicked inside their head where they go, oh, okay. I lived in the moment. I created a scene about, a cop and a prostitute in Disneyland stuck in It's a Small World After All ride, or whatever the givens were.
Yeah.
And I teach them, you play that reality of being the cop and the prostitute stuck on the ride in Disneyland. And that's going to be funny. You don't have to make jokes.
Yeah. It's the
And once they get
situation.
it's the situation. It's actually situation comedy.
Yeah.
The real situation comedy. So I'm enjoying it a lot because the people up here, they really get it and they really learn it. And I can't wait to put together a company up here that's going to be called Around the Bend.
Nice.
And I picked a couple of the improv guys from some of the other groups, and a couple of civilians from the class who were actually really good. And we're going to do improv up here in Bend as soon as this COVID thing is finished. And I think Bend is going to be pleasantly surprised by what improvisational theater really looks like. I can't wait.
That's cool. Yeah, I find people that know how to do like real improv tend to be better at even like written dialogue, like where they can actually bring life to it in a way that is beyond what's on the script.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because like I mean, I've directed a few features myself, but nothing huge, and most of the people are amateurs that I've worked with. But the few that I've worked with that I know what they're doing, I can tell they have a little bit of an improv background. So that's always,
yeah, it's literally being in the moment. It's the process of turning off your brain and just being in that immediate moment without any thoughts about what's going on, what's outside the world, what happened. You lost your keys this morning. Your wife is on your, is on your back arguing with you. Whatever it is, you're the cop and the prostitute in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Stuck on a ride. And that's your reality. You create your own reality. And if you can do that through your whole life, you've created a pretty good life.
Yeah, I was trying to apply that because I finally got back to acting myself because I used to act in stage and did a couple movies here and there, but I was doing a little bit of acting right before COVID hit, and I was playing the kind of villain of my friend's autobiography film that he was making, and so I just kind of was just trying to become the jerk that he wanted me to be in the moment, as I was doing it, because but I figured out why the guy, because I kind of knew the guy he was based on, so I kind of knew why he was the way he was, so I just basically used that to
Well, you've got a good look for a character. You have a good look for a character actor.
Yeah.
I mean, you look good.
Yeah. It was
you can play that part.
It was fun. I just hope we can finish that movie once COVID is done. But
yeah, really. Oh God, this COVID thing it just killed me.
Yeah, I was
sure. Pooey. No, it didn't kill me.
No.
Still alive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I unfortunately I was filming 2 movies myself that I was producing and directing, and those, and then sadly a couple of weeks ago my assistant director passed away. So that
was the guy on the, I saw you on Facebook.
Yeah,
that was your friend.
Yeah, 36 years old. He just passed away.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was that because of COVID?
No, kidney issues he's had his whole life. So yeah.
Yeah,
probably the best guy I've ever known, but and it just sucked that this year has just been horrible. But it's okay. Yeah.
2020.
I know.
Can't wait for you to leave.
I know. Hopefully 2021 is better, and
Well, the first 20 days might be still tough.
Yeah.
But once we can get a new regime in.
Yeah.
God.
So anything else that you'd want to? I had a question for you. What kind of advice would you give to somebody that was interested into like just getting into acting, not necessarily professionally or anything, like what they should do that might be listening?
Well, I'm sure, in almost any. I mean, I'm in a town here of 100,000 people, and Bend is considered a small town. But it's really 100,000 people. We've got all. We've got Best Buy, and we've got Bed Bath & Beyond, and we've got Costco and all that stuff. But then we got woods and mountains. So in any town, you should be able to find, I really do recommend improv. If you can find somebody with some credits and monitor a class or so, and see that there is a construction to the improv where it's not, you don't have to be funny, you will actually be funny. If you play the reality of the situation. because what you get from an audience, a priest and a nun in a spaceship looking for food, whatever that is given from the audience, just play the reality of that. And if you can get into an improv class, Peter Rieger came from our class. I don't know, was in War Babies. Okay, so he did Animal House, and he did, the Local Hero and all that stuff, did a bunch of movies. And he credits War Babies with actually learning how to act, which is being in the moment. It is turning off your brain to all of the stuff on the outside and trying to find that spontaneity between your thoughts. And when you can hit that spontaneity, you are now creating something. When you're doing something that you have never thought about, have never been in that situation, but you create it. If you can find an improv person who teaches that style and is not doing whose line is it anyway and how to do jokes, you will learn to be an actor. I mean, you absolutely should do it if you want to. Listen, I always wanted to be an actor. I thought I was too ugly to be an actor. I didn't know anything about acting. And I went on to have a really successful career as a character actor. I even started a very short-lived sitcom and did hundreds of commercials, literally. And improv helped me doing that.
Yeah. Because
you learn how to put a little life into your character when you're doing a 26-second scene of a commercial. And what you have to remember as an actor is the people looking at you to hire you, they want you to be the person. They are dying that they can say, tell everybody else to go home. So they want you. Don't be nervous about it. Be in the moment. Be how you think that character can be. And they will hire you at whatever the job is. Don't worry about being nervous because they want you. They're on your side.
Yeah.
And I wish everybody luck. I mean, go do it.
That's good advice.
What else, Mike? What else you want to talk about?
I don't know. So what was the sitcom that you did that you were short-lived sitcom?
It was The Life and Times of Eddie Roberts. It was supposed to be a white-collar version of Mary Hartman with the same producers, actually.
Oh, okay.
Who put together, instead of being a blue-collar town, I was a college professor. And we dealt with white-collar problems and stuff. And it was pretty bad. It was supposed to start at 11 o'clock at night, like Mary Hartman did.
Yeah.
We started at 11 o'clock, and after about 3 weeks, we were kind of at 11:30, and about 2 weeks after that, we were sort of at 2:30 in the morning, and it faded pretty. We did 13 episodes, and you're shooting an episode a day.
Oh wow!
So you're really, again, improv helped that, because if you screwed up a line a little bit, they didn't want to edit. They didn't want to spend the time editing.
So was it like a daily show then, or was it?
Yeah, it was at night.
Yeah,
so 11 o'clock every night.
Oh,
Mary
wow.
Hartman.
Yeah, I know that Mary Hartman. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that this was too. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
And I didn't. It was a great experience, but when I saw the end result, I said, "Wow, this." And then I recently I had some fans actually send me some. I actually have fans. I can't believe it. What's wrong with these people? Send me some Mary Hartman stuff that they had done. Not Mary Hartman. Life and Times of Eddie Roberts.
Yeah.
It was called Later, Later, Life and Times of Eddie Roberts.
Oh wow.
Hey, huh?
That's clever.
Clever stuff. And the dialogue was kind of like that too.
Oh.
And I looked at it again, and I saw that me and my TV wife really weren't that bad. What we were saying wasn't really all that good. So I have to forgive myself after all these years, because I thought, when I told my manager, I said, I can't watch the show. I'm too busy doing stuff. So you watch the show and you tell me if I'm doing too much, if I'm overdoing it, if anything's wrong, if I should change something. And she watched it, and then the show came on, and I looked at it and went, "Oh God, this is so bad!" And these people are, and I'm so bad. And I said, "What's wrong with you? I told you to tell me what was going on." She said, "I was just so enthralled by the whole process." I said, "You're fired. Your job is not to be enthralled by the process. It's to look after me and tell me what's going on." But it was fun. Udana Power played my wife. She was great in the show. I thought she was lovely. She should have been a big star. It was too bad. Both of us looked at each other before we were starting and said, "This is it. This is stardom. This is going to be Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Man. People are going to know who we are."
Oh no! Oh well!
Right down the tubes. No, it taught me humility.
Yeah. Well, that's always a good thing to learn, I think. So
yeah, and and Karen and I worked out a couple of times. We literally did Love American Style a couple of times, I think, as boyfriend, girlfriend, and stuff. And so we did work. She did a lot of work, and she had like 7 shows, mostly Gary Marshall shows. Nice. That were 13-week wonders. They just kind of went, whoa, boom, and gone. And but she did work.
Yeah, Gary Marshall was a lot more prolific than people, realized, because everybody just knows the core like 4 or 5 that he was famous for. And then, but I looked at his credits, and I know he did a lot of different sitcoms. So
and it was also a good actor.
He was.
He actually he had a certain persona about himself that he knew how to play that Brooklyn Jewish guy.
Yeah,
he knew how to do that, and he was good. He was also, bless Gary, was really a great guy. I mean, he was really a genuinely nice guy. He and Norman Lear, were great guys. Norman Lear was terrific to work for at All in the Family, and we've been kind of friends ever since, which is absurd. He's Norman Lear. Well, if you go to my website, you'll see that he did a little video for War Babies.
Wow.
For out of nowhere. The funniest thing about him is I'm talking to him in the office, and I bring in a little script. We're going to do like a 30-second, a minute bit that's actually going to be on the stage. It was about War Babies. It was a play I wrote about the works of War Babies, all of our set pieces over 30 years put together in a play form. And he was going to be on the TV screen. I had Gary Marshall do it, and Joel Zwick did it. A couple of my friend directors and stuff did stuff about War Babies, sort of trashing us a little bit, in a funny way. And so I asked Norman if he went to his office, set up the camera, and I gave him a script, and he said, "I don't think I'm going to do this," which is pretty much what Gary Marshall said too. He said, I'll just make up something. And I said, "Okay, fine." And so it's sort of a fake interview. And basically what Norman's bit was is he literally was saying to camera, saying that everything he learned about comedy and how to perform, he got from War Babies. And he was doing it with a dead straight face. He said, "I owe my entire career to War Babies. I hired some of them. They taught me how to do timing. And then at the end, of course, I have to pay him money for him having said this." That's the end of the bit. So he's sitting there, and we're talking about what we're going to do. And I said, "Okay." Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable. Are you there?
Oh, I'm still here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's wearing, like a baseball hat. He says, "Okay, we're about to roll." I said, "Fine." He goes into his closet, and he takes off his baseball hat and puts on the Norman Lear hat. Yeah. That little pork pie hat that you always see him in. And I thought, wow, he's playing Norman Lear. The guy is actually going to put on the hat that we all know Norman Lear wears, and because normally he just wears a baseball hat.
Oh wow!
I thought, wow. I said, "This is great."
Yeah,
I got Norman Lear here. He's going to play Norman Lear. Fantastic.
He's truly an American icon. I mean, he's just, I think, probably one of the, greatest television producers of all time and everything. I mean, I don't know. He's one of my early heroes when I was looking into, because I've always been obsessed with television, so, and movies and everything.
Yeah, well, he's really astounding, especially when you think you couldn't get his shows on the air today.
No.
Nobody would put Archie Bunker on the air today.
And even
It-
and even the sadly the one day at a time revival that he was working on as a executive producer, which was pretty good, just got canceled for the second time.
yeah, yeah. It just
Yeah.
it's just it's strange these times we're in.
Mm.
You know, you couldn't do Maude, you couldn't
No.
do the Jeffersons, you couldn't do any of those shows
No.
today. You know, or anything even approximating those shows.
No, I mean,
So strange.
I mean, there's luckily a lot of good television out there, but it's like different, unfortunately. I mean, it's for better or worse. It just depends. I mean, a lot of people are too sensitive, but then there's also people that are not sensitive enough on the other side too. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
you got,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, it's totally true.
Yeah.
Almost on both sides.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at some liberal shows and I go, "Really, guys? Really?
They're like,
This is what you're selling?"
they're too
And then I
liberal.
look at conservative, and then you look at conservative shows and you go, "Really, guys? Come on, seriously? This is what you're selling?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an odd phenomenon.
Yeah.
And it should be just, you know, funny stuff. If it can be political, that's fine. I mean, I always find it interesting that there's literally no conservative type comedy.
No.
They're not funny.
Yeah.
You know, they just, you know, like Dennis Miller was a huge liberal and very funny. And then he went conservative and he just died. You know, and it wasn't because, liberals didn't like him. He wasn't funny.
No.
The trouble is, if I can get political for a second.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Comedy has to have truth in it.
Yeah.
If you don't have truth in comedy, it's not funny. And what the conservatives put out, in my opinion, is not true. And therefore, you can't actually make fun of you. A conservative can't be funny. They just can't be. Name me a conservative comedian. Name me a conservative, you know, there are some actors who can play, you know, the Bruce Willises and those guys who are conservative can play funny.
Yeah.
You know, and they can do that because they're good. But when you try to find a funny conservative show, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, most shows with a conservative bent are usually dramas. That's not, you know, that are on
Yeah.
TV. Yeah, so yeah. It's I mean, which, you know, some of them are good too, but you know, like, I don't know, like Blue Bloods has a conservative bent for some reason. I love that show. So yeah.
Well, because it's well done. It's
Yeah.
well done. The characters are believable.
Yeah.
It's well shot. The dialogue is good. And sometimes there is some humor in it, but you know, it's not coming from Tom Selleck.
No. And yeah.
He's not funny.
No.
I mean, he's good at what he does.
Oh yeah, he's yeah, and yeah, it's just and it's like the few like as far as like stand up goes, even like the few like conservative comics are more of these like this like redneck you know, blue collar comedy type you know, Larry the Cable Guy and stuff like that. So they're not even funny. They think they are, but they're not.
Yeah. I've never actually gotten the humor of Larry the Cable Guy.
No, we have
even when I cared.
We watch a lot of direct-to-video sequels on this show and do critiques of them, and yeah, he's done a few, and then they're fun to watch because of how bad they are. But
well, there is always that.
Yeah, that's good. That's the only benefit of Larry the Cable Guy, unfortunately. But yeah, to be honest. But yeah, God. No. But anyways, I don't know. I just don't want to take up too much more of your time here. So anything else?
Yeah, I have to hit the slopes.
Yeah, I figured. You know, you gotta go climb a mountain or
it's what I do.
Build a skyscraper or something. I don't know.
It's been great.
Yeah.
This is the first time that you and I have actually met, even though we're Facebook friends.
Yeah.
And I love what you write and I love what you do. I haven't seen, you know, any of your movie stuff.
Yeah.
And apparently you haven't either because you had to stop.
I'll have to send you some links to the ones I actually completed sometime. But yeah. Definitely. Yeah. But yeah, they're real low budget, but okay.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you can do it. Listen, I've written a bunch of scripts that have won awards, none of them ever done.
Yeah.
And I literally have sometimes purposely written the script to say, okay, here's one you can spend $100 million on. This is going to be Romancing the Stone. Okay,
Yeah.
It's going to be action, adventure, comedy. And if you want to spend the money for the speedboats and to shoot it in Barcelona, and where I put the action and do all that, terrific. Here's one you can do for $1.25. And you can shoot it in Bend. And, so these are things that you have to consider when you're doing these kind of movies. If you're doing these low budget independents, you can do some good work doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, thank you for your time, and it was great to finally meet you in person, or kind of in person, if you know what I mean. And I'll definitely
no, get out of it yourself.
Yeah, have to in person on Zoom. And hopefully if anything comes up and you ever want to come back on the show, just let me know anytime. Definitely.
Believe me, I got plenty of time, Mike.
Yep.
I'll see you next week.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Yep. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, that was my interview there with Renny Temple. A lot of insight there into the world of entertainment and beyond. Some interesting stories there about Kirk Cameron. And basically how much of a douchebag he is, and which to this day he still is. I mean, back in December he was doing some bullshit there with trying to basically spread COVID in California with having a bunch of people do a protest / Christmas carol.
Well, yeah, because God will heal you. You don't need science,
Oh yeah.
And plus, too, he totally, owned the atheist, with his banana, theory. So, checkmate atheist.
Oh God. Anyways, that was kind of cool to find out. Also, stuff about Leonardo DiCaprio and other people that Rennie's worked with, and Frankie and Annette and other people that he talked about. Had a long career there, and he's doing some great stuff up in Oregon, and hopefully you all enjoyed that interview. If you could, please check out our Patreon, our Facebook, our rest of our social medias. And be sure to, follow us everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you're a stalker.
Well,
wait.
I wouldn't go that far, but, we got lots of episodes. We're, pretty consistent in our output, so there's always going to be something cool,
Yes. And if this is your first time listening, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you a lot, actually.
Yes. And we'll have some links in the show notes to a bunch of cool stuff. Some charities and stuff you can donate to as well during the hard times that the world's going through. And
that, certain governments are, making worse.
Yes. We'll find out. Hopefully by the time this airs, things are better. Who knows? Anyways, thanks for listening, and bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All2ReelToo podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.